This is a 2003 Ford Taurus. It's the, I think they call it the Vulcan engine. It's the overhead valve, it's not the dual overhead cam. This is just a video of the subframe removal. I don't know if it's the same with the dual overhead or not, but there's no real good video showing the subframe removal. It's not a complete removal, I'm just removing part of it to get access to the AC clutch. So, really easy. First, lift the car up, put it on jack stands. You'll want to put your jack stands on your actual rails back here, because this is your subframe. This is what we're going to be dropping, so you don't want to put your jack stands back there. I just used some block of wood so it wouldn't scrape up the frame rails. And you're going to place your jack underneath here as well. Once you get them up on the jacks, take the wheel and tire off. It's a 19 millimeter for your lugs. Next thing you need to get off is this right here. This is a 15 millimeter bolt on the back side. This side is welded onto this bracket, so you don't need to take you don't need to take another box end and hold this, because the bracket itself will hold it on. So take that off next. Of course, the first thing we have to do is disconnect the battery. We're going to disconnect it from the negative side. Make sure you isolate that so there's no way that they can touch. Okay, this actually was a 13 millimeter bolt, not a 15. The next thing you need to take off is the Serpentine Belt, and that is a 15 millimeter. I don't know if you can see that, but your tensioner is right there. 15 millimeter. What I do, I just take 2 box end wrenches, use mechanical advantage, slip off the Serpentine Belt. Okay, next you have to disconnect your sway bar, and it doesn't matter if you do it up here on this bolt or if you do it down here on this bolt. If you look at it, you have a bolt right there. If you just try and loosen this, the whole thing will probably try and turn on you. So you take another wrench and put it onto this, which is an 8 millimeter. See this part? This is an 8, and the bolt is an 18. So it's an 8 to hold it, 18 to get it off. Okay, next part. Place your jack underneath the subframe. Keeping in mind, you don't want to place it somewhere where it'll be in the way, because this will be here until your installation is done. So I'm working on my AC clutch, which is up there, so I don't want to position the jack that way. It's time to take off this subframe. This bolt here, you can tell it's a subframe bolt because it's surrounded by a big bushing. This one up there, okay, you can move this quite a bit and get a lot of space in there, and it is I believe 18 millimeter. Air tools make these real easy. If you're doing it by hand, you might want to soak them, because they can be pretty hard to get off. Okay, once you get those 2 bolts out, very slowly you can lower your jack, and you'll see it's pulling the whole thing down, and that's it. If you needed to remove the entire subframe, there's a lot more steps to it, but this will get you to your AC clutch. Okay, next up, you have to remove the Strut pinch bolt. Here's one side of it. The other side is back here. It's a 21 millimeter. And it's tight with your tie rod, with your outer tie rod. What I ended up doing, turning the wheel a little bit to the right to make a little bit more distance between here, and I ended up using a 1/2 inch wobble head with a 21 21mm socket, and that seemed to work. So you need to remove that next. Okay, once you get that loose, the next bolt you want to take off is this one right here. It's a 10mm, and it holds your brake line onto your strut. So you take that off,